Computer froze. Are we good? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I hope we're good. Yeah,
I can hear you, but your image was freezing for a little
all
bit.
right. I was like, oh boy, here we go. I'm gonna be honest. StreamYard has been really laggy lately. A lot of my interviews have been coming out kind of wonky. You better get your shit together, boy, or you're out of here. What's going on? We're back. Tornado Tag. We're gonna be a little more consistent, and we're changing things up. If boy, that's something you've heard on this show quite some time because
No,
I'm so
I don't
indecisive and can't figure out a format that I like. I love the history stuff, BP, and you know that. I love talking history of wrestling with you, but unfortunately, I think to grow as a podcast or as a platform or as a channel, current day wrestling is what people really want to talk about. And if we can do a little bit of current day to reel them in. Here's our blueprint. Don't tell them what don't tell the audience, BP. But we're gonna bring in
earmuffs.
Yeah, we're gonna bring him in with the current day stuff. Hit him with the hottest takes and best opinions that you're gonna get, other than probably someone who's actually in the business, like a Jim Cornette. We're not gonna be shtick. We're gonna tell you how we legit feel, and then we are better than every other content creator out there. So you're getting the hottest of hot takes. Then we're gonna hit you with some independent stuff and why you should care about it, and then we're gonna hit you with some our picks of things you should know about, or maybe your picks as well, and hit you with a little bit of history lesson at the end. So I think it's going to be an encompassing thing. So that's the new strategy, is we're mostly going to cover week-to-week wrestling topics and things like that. And maybe if something crazy happens on Raw, that'll be the main talking point of the episode, and until we get to a pay-per-view or whatever, something like that. So these will run pretty much NXT to Monday Night Raw of the following week. And then us coming and talking about some of the highlights of that week in wrestling. Will we watch it all? Probably not. So if we didn't, there's not enough time in the day to do them all. But before we get into any of our topics or anything like that, make sure you guys check out all of our links below to follow us on social media. There is social media, the Instagrams, the Facebooks, the Twitters, the whole nine. If you're watching this on the ABJ channel, the Tornado Tag channel is live and up, and actually live right now. So we're bringing back that old channel. So if you're watching, you're like, man, I don't like the beer, I don't like the Blazing Buds, which I don't know why you wouldn't like any of those shows. They're all really good. And you just want that wrestling IV pumped into your veins, head over to Tornado Tag. And we have tons and tons and tons of old content you can go back and check out with some of our amazing previous co-hosts, and maybe they pop in every now and then. They have open invitations. Everyone's welcome to come hang out some night. That might be a thing. And also merchandise. So the Valentine's Day hoodie, the Dusty Rose, that's literally what the hoodie color called is, which is amazing, is going to be available. I'm going to leave it up till the 21st. The ones who have ordered it, thank you so much. Teespring is a little behind with wildfires and everything going on crazy in the world. It is delaying a lot of productions, a lot of shipping, getting products. It's a whole thing. So if you are waiting for your order, it will still come. Just give it time. It will be coming. The beanie will be up for a little bit longer. The St. Patty's Day hoodie is available right now. Not photo, but I do have 2 420 shirts, where one looks like the Austin 316, and it says ABJ 420. You can get it in green or black, and you can get the 420 hoodie that's available now. That's pretty much all I got when it comes to the can shaking aspect of the podcast. Let's cover Let's get into Elimination Chamber. So this past weekend we had the Elimination Chamber, and boy,
and nothing really eventful happened, right?
Yeah, nothing really crazy happened. It was probably a pay-per-view you can essentially miss. I mean, nothing memorable. Yeah. No, that couldn't be further from the truth. They brought the heat for Toronto, which is pretty much is this the last pay-per-view, or we have one or two more before Mania?
I believe this is the last one. There's probably an NXT, I think, Stand and Deliver, but that's usually like the Saturday before Mania.
It's crazy. Mania is already like...
I think, Mania is like 6 weeks away now.
That's crazy to think about.
Yeah, it is.
It just feels like last year we were in Philly.
It was last year. Yes.
Yeah. Exactly it feels like it was yesterday.
No, it was about 11 months ago. It was it went almost exactly 11 months ago.
But this one will be, is this the Vegas one this year?
It is Vegas, yes.
Yeah, and then next year is New Orleans, right?
Yeah, I don't know if that's been officially announced, but if it isn't, it hasn't been, it is pretty clear that 2026 will be New Orleans, which I know they have that deal with Indianapolis. I'm wondering if that's going to be 2027.
Yeah.
Bit of a you go from like I mean Philly is there's a history to Philly. It's not like I'm not going to pretend it's a tourism destination like Vegas or even New Orleans, but then you go to Indianapolis. All the Indiana people are going to be all over me now.
Yeah. We just lost our maybe one viewer from that area. But yeah, so we'll start off with the chamber itself on the women's side. Going into this matchup, BP, we have a pretty strong contest when it comes to both cages, our elimination chambers with people.
Absolutely.
So we have Naomi, we have Liv, we have Alexa, we have Bianca. Who am I forgetting? Bailey, Roxanne Perez, and Bailey. Yeah, so we have a star-studded chamber. Is there anyone? I mean, there's an answer for me on this one, but going into this matchup, is there anyone that you're looking at? You're like, no shot. Like, if you win, I would be really disappointed.
I had a feeling who was going to win on this one when it came in. I really didn't feel it for Roxanne. I thought it was a little too early for Roxanne. I didn't really feel it for Bailey because it seems like Bailey's program is going to be with Roxanne. Yeah. I didn't feel it for Naomi because Naomi was had a partner who was more of an odds-on favorite. Alexa maybe, but she's first coming back, and maybe it's going to be a tag team thing with her and Nikki again, and that's how he reintroduced the Wyatt Six. Who knows? So I really thought it was a 2-horse race between Liv and Bianca, and then it's like, well, the winner is theoretically, because we learned yesterday this isn't necessarily the case. Theoretically, the winner's going to wrestle Rhea, and we've just kind of ended the Rhea Liv thing. That was a big program for about a year, so
yeah.
I really did feel strongly that Bianca was probably going to win going into this one.
I honestly, I was like, maybe it was my fandom, right? So I haven't been watching too much weekly wrestling, and I kind of like it. So going back to doing it for this show is going to be a little rough, because it's just too much for me. I think I just going into a pay-per-view of letting them hit me with the recaps beforehand and then just watching the show has been amazing. It's been really, really nice. That's kind of how I consume NXT. I watch a takeover. I'm like, oh, okay, that's why we're having this match. Oh, that was fun. I enjoyed that pay-per-view. I don't have expectations. I don't have my own fantasy picks. I don't think I have this is the blueprint, because boy, WWE has been throwing monkey dicks in everyone's fantasy booking lately.
I tend to have wrestling when I watch it. I tend to have it on in the background while I'm cutting a TV show for wrestling. Yeah. So I'm making a TV show and watching a TV show at the same time.
Yeah. So the chamber essentially starts, and the two first contestants, Naomi and Liv Morgan, and Jade's music hits, and she comes down, and boy, what a sell by Liv. Like, I didn't do it. You have the wrong person. And she cocks back and just hits Naomi and beats the shit out of her.
So yeah, great intensity. This is as impressive as Jade Cargill has ever looked in AEW or WWE.
I love Jade. I'm a fan of Jade Cargill. I know her in-ring has been lackluster for the most part, especially on the WWE side. They waited so long to bring her in. She came in, she had a few bumps in her matches, a few rocky spots, a few miscues where people are expecting her to be better, which is understandable, I guess. But God, man, presence-wise, attitude-wise, look-wise, she is a complete package. And when she comes out here and just lays in this beat in Naomi, it's like, boy, none of that looked like a flub at all. Like, there was not one negative spot on that whole moment.
Yeah, great job from everybody involved in this. Liv Morgan selling the no, it wasn't me. Naomi just taking a pounding. The great intensity by Jade. Bianca is adding to it just by screaming bloody murder stuck inside of her pod. Can't do anything to diffuse the situation. Just all around perfect execution on this.
Yeah. This chamber has a moment for me with the women where there was a long time there where I was just sick of seeing this one tag team. I was sick of seeing them, especially these two tag teams put together. I didn't get the hype. I understood why everyone liked them and why everybody was into them as a tag team, but it was just like they weren't for me. I was like, none of their matches get me. I'm not a fan of what's going on. And that kind of translated to Liv Morgan for me. Like, I understand why she's popular. I understand why people are into her. I think she's a hard worker. I think her stories create how she was a fan of wrestling and then became a wrestler. But just as a character in a wrestling ring, I don't get excited for Liv matches. Liv won me over in this Elimination Chamber. Like, I kind of looked at her performance and what she's been doing at Elimination Chamber, and then it kind of was like that snap moment for me, where it's like, no, she's been really busting her ass. Like, and her accomplishments just speak for themselves, and the things she's kind of been given this whole time, low key, like it all kind of just hit for me. Like, no, Liv's good. Stop being the Liv hater. She's good at what she does. And just to kind of go back, the tag team I was thinking with that longest time, and it happened also in a cage, Hell in a Cell, was the Usos. When the Usos and the New Day had that Hell in a Cell match, I was like, the Usos are sick. Like, why have I been not saying they're good for this long? Like, you're dumb. I'm dumb for thinking that way. And Liv won me over this chamber. I apologize for all of my Liv hate, because man, she's killing it. Great job in this chamber. Great job.
Yeah, this was my favorite match on the show as far as bell to bell. And Liv Morgan was the centerpiece of the match. Yes, she doesn't get the win. Yes, there's the big angle up front, but in between, she is hitting on character work. She is taking a beating and making everybody look good. Like, literally just getting whipped and bruised and beaten. And as a heel, just making everybody look like $1 million, which is a heel's number one job. 1A, get heat and make everybody look good. That's what you're supposed to do as a heel. And she is doing both of them. And what a performance, and a really, really strong match here all around.
And Alexa Bliss, for being gone for as long as she's been gone, has not missed a beat. And maybe it's just because I was making Liv in my mind a secondary Alexa Bliss, and then having Alexa back and seeing how fluid she is, and then seeing Liv kind of work side by side Alexa, which was probably my benchmark for her for a while, and she hit the benchmark and exceeded, which is not easy, because Alexa looks like she hasn't missed a beat. She looks like vintage goddess Alexa. Yeah, that, like, it was exciting, and she gets the roll up pin on her, so maybe we have a little matchup there between Alexa and Liv, which I'll watch that.
Yeah, totally. That the WWE, and I'm counting NXT in this too, their women's division is so stacked.
Crazy.
Like, if you wanted to devote an entire brand to the women's division, like, they always had this rumor back in the Attitude Era that SmackDown or at some points, the SmackDown's going to become a women's show, and it's like, well, that's stupid. Their women's division isn't good enough to carry a show. If you were to say, okay, we're restructuring things, and the women's division are going to get their own show, it's like, okay, that's going to probably be the best show of the week. Like, their division is that deep and that good and that stacked with great wrestlers and great performers and great characters. And Liv has been there for a long time on the character side, and now that in ring is coming right up to that level where she is a top tier performer. And this was, I would say it's a star making performance, but she's been a star for a while.
100%. Yeah. And then all that realization hit me during this match. I'm like, oh, I'm just an idiot. She's been doing this.
Which sucks, because this happened to me years and years ago. And it was WrestleMania 26, I want to say. No, WrestleMania 27. It was WrestleMania 27, and the opening match was Edge defending the World Heavyweight title against Alberto Del Rio. And just watching, I'm like, Edge is so damn good. Like, everything Edge does is great. Edge is amazing in this match. And it's like, everybody's like, oh, Del Rio's probably going to win. And Edge won. I'm like, oh, Edge won, and he's so good. And like, I'm finally appreciating Edge. And like 4 days later, he retired.
Yeah. Yeah.
So hopefully Liv Morgan doesn't hang up the boots here now that everybody's finally giving her the flowers that she's probably deserved for a she has deserved for a long time.
No, totally has. The next match I think we're going to talk about here is going to be the Falls Count Anywhere, or what was it? The unsanctioned match, right?
You're missing a match. You're missing the tag team match. You're missing Nia Jax and
Oh,
Candice
yeah.
LeRae against Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus.
Which that's the fun. Hey, Trish Stratus is here, and you're in
Toronto, yeah.
Toronto match.
And
Oh, sorry, go back real quick. Bianca wins the Elimination Chamber, as we
Yeah.
know. We have that pose off with her and Rhea, and just that little tiny moment where Rhea's there and she's looking at her like, I'll see you soon. And then Io comes out and just goes, and she looks at Rhea like, how dare you? You have me Monday.
Mhm.
And then looks at Bianca like, I'll see you at WrestleMania. And it was
Little
just
bit
like
of-
that cool little moment there.
little bit of a foreshadowing. And if you forgot this show was in Toronto, don't worry, Pat McAfee reminded you 80 times.
Yeah. Also, he publicly apologized for saying he hates Canada.
No, he didn't. He
kind of a little bit. He
that
kind of
was
said,
not an apology. That was not
Yeah.
an apology.
But yeah, the national anthem booed out of I feel bad for the girl singing, but
if you have watched any hockey games where they always, no matter what country they're in, do "Oh Canada" and the Star Spangled Banner. If you've watched any hockey games from Canada since January 20th, you wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
that the national anthem got put. It's a pretty regular occurrence. It's going to happen at Toronto Blue Jays games too. It's happening at Raptors games. So the move here would have been to just kind of skip the American national anthem when you're in Canada.
Yeah. No, keep doing it. I think it's entertaining. Kevin Owens
and it gets people like Pat McAfee's panties in a bunch. So good.
Yeah. If you don't understand why, then you're part of the problem. If you can be like, oh, that makes sense. But yeah, so we have the tag match. I really have nothing really to say about this one. I'm not saying I hated it. I'm also not saying it was my favorite. It was what it was.
It felt like a Raw or SmackDown match. It should have been I think they did SmackDown from Toronto, it would have been a perfect SmackDown main event. Yeah. I get that it's the novelty of Trish wrestling, and you don't know how many more matches she's got in her. Like, she looks amazing. Like she's aging in reverse. I think she's 49 years old and looks 32, but the match was fine, and I get that it was a nice little Trojan horse to get a babyface reaction for Tiffany Stratton, because it feels like she's a little miscast as a babyface, but
especially going up against Charlotte soon.
Oh, Charlotte's going to get booed out of the building. I think people are kind of resenting Charlotte's push, and that WrestleMania crowd's usually a hair smarter than the rest of the year. I think Tiffy's going to have the crowd in their back at Mania, just because people are going to resent.
Where do you stand on the Charlotte hate?
I think she's very talented, but I think it's the same thing as when like Brock Lesnar would roll in after a year and a half gone and be inserted right into the main event picture, and it's like, well, why? Especially, it's like a well, why thing. So I think that's
it's a why, and then you go, all right, it may like there's someone who, when they show up, they're not secondary. They are the shit. They are the heartbeat of when they're there. You have to book around them. They're that good, but they're that imposing.
But that person in the moment gets resented. Brock got resented. Cena got resented. That person, there's resentment always.
Yeah, totally.
Always.
By dumb wrestling fans who don't appreciate things
and also it's like, well, is Charlotte has, and this is something like, I don't know the answer. I don't think so, because I think she is very talented. Has the division eclipsed her? Has the rest of the roster caught up to the four horsewomen? I mean, one of them's in AEW now. Becky's been out for a while. Bailey has.
The only one who caught up, in my opinion, is Rhea.
Oh no, Rhea didn't catch up. Rhea passed them. Yeah, Rhea's way down the field now.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. When Becky, sure. Bailey, unfortunately, sure. But when Charlotte walks in the building, she's not coming for anything else but a gold. Like, she's and if she wants the secondary title, it's only because she wants to put it on her resume. It's not because she doesn't want the world championship at that point in time. She just wants something she's never had before, and I think that's where Charlotte comes in. And so Tiffy and
what was the last Charlotte match that just totally blew you away though?
Every time she's in the ring, I don't hate what I see. She goes in there and gives it 110%, even
so
if
does
it's a
everybody
Monday
else.
Night Raw.
So does everybody else.
Charlotte's different. Maybe I'm a Charlotte mark. I don't know.
That's fine.
I think she's one of the best female wrestlers in the world.
One of, yeah. But as far as like star power, Rhea is so far and away ahead of everybody that it's not even funny.
Yeah. Rhea's look super helps her out, and then she gets in the ring and she's fucking excellent there too. Like
she's connected, and the only person's connected in that way is Becky Lynch, and that kind of cooled off a little bit when obviously she went away for a while due to pregnancy, and then had that heel around.
Rhea has that power and athleticism. She's like a hybrid. She's everything. She's like LeBron James of the WWE's women's division. It's like, oh, you want her to be a high flyer? She can do some of that. You want her to powerhouse? She can do that. You want her to be a sex symbol? Got that. You want her to be a different type of sex symbol? It's not a blonde shell bombshell. Goth mommy? She's got that covered too. Like she checks every box.
She's as far as the women's division, she's the franchise right now. Bar none.
Yeah, totally. So that tag match happens. Now we're gonna have the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn unsanctioned match.
They're never gonna use this verbiage, and they never really do this in WWE. It's a lights out match.
Yeah. If you've seen them fight before, you've seen this match.
You've seen this. I hate to say this. You've seen the slightly better version of this match.
Yeah,
if you've watched Old Ring of Honor.
Yeah, no blood, which I'm fine with. No crazy, but
it wasn't a ladder war.
No, Kevin and Sami, I think I said in our group chat, which by the way, come join us on Discord in the Cult of ABJ Discord with link below in the link tree, or the brand new Cult of ABJ Facebook community, which also has group chats that you can come join. And we were chatting along the entire pay-per-view with in the Facebook group chat. So come over and hang out with us in either the Discord or the Facebook chat, and come hang out, whatever platform you prefer.
One of the things, by the way, I did notice in the chat about the Trish thing, Trish would be Tiffany's mom. I forget where I read this or heard this. Do you know how old Tiffany Stratton was when Trish made her WWE debut?
5.
When Trish made her WWE debut, Tiffany Stratton was 10 months old.
Wow.
10 months old.
That's crazy. Where was I at my spot? Oh, during the chat we were talking about this lights out match, and I essentially said I can watch Kevin and Sami wrestle every weekend. They have that agreement with each other. Like, if you don't go out there and fucking try to kill me, I will kill you when we hit this curtain. Like they just have this agreement. Like, they're just gonna beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
Like it's wild. It's so crazy that there was a spot where Kevin tries to do the power bomb on the apron and fucks it up, and Sami gets off and punches him right in the face, and then Kevin kicked him in the nuts, and then just power bombed him again even harder.
When you have that bond with somebody and that trust in somebody, and they've worked with each other for their entire careers, literally, they've always been they're linked in a way that a lot of wrestlers haven't been linked before. Like Dusty Rhodes and Terry Funk were linked that way. Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels were until Bret went to WCW. They are kind of just intertwined in a way that we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah. Honestly, I kind of feel that with you on commentary, where I know no matter what I say or how I attack you or how whatever I'm gonna go with there, I know that it's because we trust each other, and we're gonna it's nothing personal or just going that, and we kind of just go hard on each other a little bit, or like fire back at each other, and it's never at the end of the show we're like, yo, are you good? I'm just letting you know, and I've had to do that on commentary a few times, where we're just like, no, we're gonna go out there and we're gonna do what we gotta do. We're not gonna take it personal. Like, even on the podcast, if we disagree and we argue,
it's a work, you know.
But I get close. I fly close to the sun sometimes with some of my zingers. But no, even like on the podcast, if we have a disagreement about what's going on in wrestling, it's not like it's the end of our friendship because we don't see eye to eye on something. It's just like, all right, I see your point, and then we move on. But so Kevin and Sami just beat the shit out of each other here. Then there's gonna be the spot where he's gonna do the package pile driver on the concrete, and Randy Orton's music hits, and someone said earlier, is Jade coming out? And my brain was kind of old school WWE, like, probably not. Jade comes out, and I was like, well, now is Randy? I'm like, they're not doing 2 surprises in one night like this, right? Like that'd be crazy. WWE, it's not a major 4 pay-per-view. WWE's not going to go hard in the paint with that.
It's WrestleMania season. You can do whatever you want.
WWE has curled the playbook up of what your brain has thought WWE to be and have thrown it away, which kudos to them. I am enjoying watching a WWE product, and it's been a long time since I've said that.
And a lot of the criticism of WWE's booking for even after Triple H took the reins, especially after Triple H took the reins, is it's a little predictable.
Yeah,
it's a little like you can see things coming, and and a lot of it was predictable because it made sense. And now they're finding ways to subvert your expectations and be a little spot to be in.
Yeah. If you but that kind of like wide open now. It's like, well, I don't know what's gonna happen. So Randy comes out. I love the beat here where Kevin just hears the music and then just gets into the ring and just is like, all right, I have to fight him.
my one criticism of this is the old tried and true wrestling trope of, oh, the guy's music's playing, I can't kill this guy now, I have to put Sammy down. Even though I have plenty of time to drive and set into the concrete, I'm just going to put him down now because Randy's coming.
He's just like, shit, he's coming. I got to fight him. And he just puts him down and he gets in the ring and he just looks up at it. He just goes, come on. Like almost like, I love how Kevin emotes. He's my favorite wrestler.
His fire.
Right now. He's my favorite. But just the way he looks like I relate heavily to him of when he gets over emotional when he just does dumb shit. Like, I have to kill somebody. Like I have to put their head through a window. And you're like, do you though? And he's like, yeah, I have to. That's just, there's no other way my brain can rationalize this. And that's kind of like Kevin Owens. Like he's like ready to cry. He's so angry. He's like, but he knows he's in a fight. Like he's such a good natural. And Moat's a really good.
No, Kevin Owens is so talented.
So good.
So talented. The only thing
they set up. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I think I'm going to piggyback off what you're saying. Just to say.
Yeah, and they set up. Randy's gonna kind of go to a place he's never been in a long time, where he's gonna punt kick him, and perfect spot of bringing everybody in and blocking it. Kevin rolls out, beautifully done, and then you send people home happy with Randy, where he RKOs a bunch of security guards.
Yeah, my only concern is what's the plan for Sammy when it comes to WrestleMania, unless Sammy somehow joins up with KO and they're heels again. And I don't know if that's a good way for Sammy to go. I don't know. Really.
I honestly said, like, what if Sammy just got up with a chair and just tattooed Randy in the back?
It's too soon for that. Maybe that happens at Mania, but then you got to make sure it makes sense. And that's always tough.
Yeah. I don't know what they do there. I think that they're going to, I don't think Sammy's going to be at Mania. I think he's going to play that injury.
For him. That's a tough break for him.
Mania already looks pretty loaded. I don't know where you sneak him in.
But that would be such a downer for him though, because you go from the day one main event to ending the longest Intercontinental title reign of all time to not on the show. That would be a killer.
Yeah, he went from the comedy match one year to opening, then the
losing
main event
losing to Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah,
what a whirlwind! You lose to Johnny Knoxville, you main event night one, you end the longest Intercontinental title reign of all time, and then you're not on the show. But who knows? There's still a lot of time to go. Maybe Sammy's the referee of that match. Who knows?
Yeah. So then after the sanction match, we're gonna go to the men's chamber, and this men's chamber, I will say this right now, is the first time in a long time where I looked at a chamber and I go, anyone can win this and go on to wrestle at WrestleMania. Like there's not a person there's not a believable winner of this. Like,
yeah, I disagree.
Cody, Drew, I'd watch. Drew as a world champion is a believable world champion. Damian Priest is a believable world champion.
Yes, but is Cody Rhodes versus Damian Priest a believable WrestleMania main event? And I'm not talking night one. I'm talking the main event of WrestleMania.
We're getting Jey Uso versus Gunther. So
all right, a friendly wager here, a virtual wager here, pride on the line. Do you think that's going to close out one of the nights? Do you think
it shouldn't?
And it's not a real main event. The main event of night 1 is probably going to be Punk, Orton, and Roman, and main event of night 2 is going to be Cody and the winner of this match.
Yeah, I think people always have it confused that the World Championship has to be the main event, and the main event
was it last year?
Yeah,
was it no? Like Drew and Punk was the opener, or Drew and Seth was the opener of night 2.
Yeah,
and if you go back to the WrestleMania before that, but there was only one world title at that point, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but yeah. So once again, the Chamber looks awesome. I love it, and I thought the match structure was really good as well. There was a lot of cool moments. Actually, going back real quick to the women's Chamber, Bianca's on top of that chamber, and she smacks Liv with the ponytail, and I'm like, wait a second, let me do a quick head count here. Who's left in this match? Because Bianca's not climbing back down. She's jumping. Her 3 catchers are Liv, Alexa, are Liv, Roxanne Perez, and everybody who was catching was small as hell. And Bianca's not a tiny girl.
Alexa Bliss, Roxanne Perez, and Liv, right?
Yeah. And I was just like,
and then
interesting.
After that vicious hair whip, Bianca almost landed right on Liv's head, but I think she kind of came down on her elbows and knees. But yeah,
I didn't look into it.
It looked like she landed on Liv's head.
I didn't look into it or look it up or anything, because I personally don't care, because I've seen women's parts before, and I'm not a desperate creepo on the internet. But Lilly was telling me that I guess Liv had a wardrobe malfunction when Bianca went to pick her up, and she was swinging her back and forth. I think Bianca grabbed her pants and like pulled her whole front out a little bit. And people, of course, on the internet are fucking weirdos, and they had to go and post it. Like, but she was like, yeah, I was, because she's actually super into like she's telling me more dirt sheet stuff than I've ever looked into, because she's like, I purposely have left every wrestling group that talks about that kind of, I just don't want to be around it. But Lilly kind of keeps me informed on some things. But
from what I understand on Wrestle Sky, on the Blue Sky side of things, very wisely, as a matter of fact, because pretty much all the women now wear flesh-colored tights under their gear.
Yeah.
And I believe most of them now, again, very wisely, wear underwear under their tights, which is a very smart thing to do.
Well, I think Tiffany just recently had a wardrobe thing, but she was wearing pasties, and people were like talking about her nipple being dark, and they're like, no, that was a pasty. Just don't be worried about it. Like, if it happens, move on.
People have understood that, there's a lot of like people who will fervently look for those type of things, so they're taking countermeasures, which is very smart.
You know who takes the best countermeasure for that?
Who's that?
Cosmic.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I do not.
So we were at PPW, and Lilly goes, oh boy, I think Cosmic has a rip in her gear, like on her crotch. And I was like, I didn't even notice. And Rem's like, really? And he goes, yeah. And of course, it was like during like a bridging suplex.
Yeah.
So Rem goes in the back, and he's like, hey, Lilly noticed during the match that you might have like a rip in your crotch. And she started laughing. She goes, Lilly caught it? And he goes, yeah. So she takes out her gear and shows Rem the crotch, and in flesh colored print, it says, your dad's favorite.
That's amazing. Oh, that's so good.
She's the fucking goat.
That's so good.
Yeah, I love her so much. I like that. That is the best thing you could do. Just write like caught you or something, like something stupid. Yeah. But yeah, so Drew's the first one out of the chamber, which I'm gonna be honest was shocking.
There was that little bit, there's a leak, and I'm sure it was strategic that he was gonna win too.
Really?
Like, yeah.
So the chamber kind of goes on, and we're down to the final 3 of Seth, Cena, and Punk. And I'm still in the Punk's winning this. Punk is winning this chamber. That's my pick. Punk wins. Cena wins Money in the Bank. Cena cashes in on Punk and retires as the champion. Storybook ending. It's gonna be great. They're planting the seeds here. Punk and Cena are having a friendly rivalry, and unfortunately Seth is ruining it, and Seth gets double finished, and as it's going down, CM Punk takes the finisher. He's stuck on the end, and he gets stomped into the thing. Cena cashes in on the stomp, and he wins the Elimination Chamber and is going to go on to wrestle Cody Rhodes and possibly the 17th time WWE World Champion and break Ric Flair's record. But we
now
all
that's
remember
the WrestleMania main event.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's still fun.
Peacemaker versus Homelander.
Yeah, even right there, you're like, all right, that's you don't need to add anything else. There's no cherry on top that needs to be done at this pay-per-view. Roll the credits. Cody comes down and gives him the handshake. The final boss music plays where Rock gets a new version of his song. I don't understand the Travis Scott bit or whoever his name is. Was it Travis Scott?
Yeah. It's a celebrity, and even without Vince, if a mainstream celebrity is going to give them attention and is going to play along with them, they're going to lap it up.
Yeah. So he comes out with The Rock. Rock is essentially coming down to see what Cody's decision is going to be. And Cody, now this is what they're saying on the internet, BP, and I want to defer to you if you have any in your brain that comes to mind. I can't think of any that haven't been censored or have been planned. I know because The Rock goes on TV and curses all the time and says whatever he wants.
Yeah.
But this is the first in-ring uncensored fuck in WWE, right?
That was deliberate, I believe so. There have been times like they would let a shit slide here and there at points. Like I think the first time that happened was Bret Hart, when Bret Hart was kind of freaking out after he lost the title to Sid on a Raw before WrestleMania 13. And I know Austin, they let Austin get a shit through here and there all the time.
And he would say fuck, but I mean, like it wasn't like.
Yeah, this was, I think, the first time they're literally gonna plan it out that this is coming out.
So he tells The Rock go fuck himself, and John Cena goes crazy. And he's laughing, and everyone's going nuts. Now the rumor is, backstage, only like 3 people knew this heel turn was coming.
Yeah, from what I understand,
how much I believe that, but we'll see.
From what I understand, like that was the rumor about Drew. The Drew McIntyre rumor was that it leaked somewhere that Drew was winning the Elimination Chamber. His odds came way down in the betting markets. Cena was still the favorite. Internally on the format sheet, on the layout sheet, the Rock Cody thing was scheduled to go on before the Elimination Chamber. But it was a whole thing where everybody knew but Rock, Cody, and Cena or only Rock, Cody, and Cena really knew that the plan was, and Triple H obviously,
and Travis Scott going down there. Probably they told him what was going to happen.
Yeah, they smartened him up at some point that here's what we're going to do.
Yeah, which is bold because he can bust it wide open. Everyone did a good job that essentially selling this. Cena's hugging him and he's looking right into the camera at Rock, and Cena goes from smile Cena to
showing his range as an actor.
Yo, a simple couple muscles in his face changed the structure of John Cena.
Oh yeah,
it like the energy went out. It was just like, oh, I literally watched his face change. And I go, no fucking way, no way. Because I watched people's reactions when people looked at his face. They did not react to his face.
Oh, I did. I'm like, oh, they're doing it. Like
I as soon as I seen his face, I knew it was happening. But I was watching other content creators, and they didn't react until the nut kick.
How do you miss the?
I don't. So the face change, The Rock does. Now people are saying there's a thing with the 2. I guess he threw a 3 up at one point in time of Bad Blood or something. Then he put the 2, which I just thought he looked a dumb way of cutting his neck because he started up with like his ear, like he did like a and now they're saying 1's WrestleMania. I don't know, but. Because I guess Rock's throwing all these little teasers. I don't really pay attention to The Rock that much. I'm going to be honest. I think this Rock booking himself to be the next Vince is weird to me. But anyway, so Cena kicks him in the balls and they beat the dog shit out of Cody. And wow. Unbelievable. It was unbelievable. There's
the
no
other giveaway is
it.
The other giveaway is Cena's kind of hanging around when he shouldn't be. And it's like, okay, well, it is going to be Cena and Cody at the Elimination.
But even when he's hanging around, you're still you have to be as like, you're like, they're not gonna fucking Cena's like, you didn't know the heel turn was coming until his face changed. And that was like, there's no way. Like, are they gonna do this? Like, so crazy. It's insane.
It got the result they wanted. It was it's got to be the most talk, at least until it's the most talked about thing in wrestling, bare minimum, until the finishing the story thing, and maybe beyond that.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. And it just started. So like, is the rest of Cena's retirement run as him as a bad guy?
Maybe, yeah.
Like,
It's the one thing people always wanted but never got to see, and now you got it.
Yeah, and does he go and just bury everyone he wrestles on his, because like everyone's like, yo, he hasn't won a match in forever. Every match he's done the job. Every match he's put everybody over. Does he just go out as a tyrant, as a world champion tyrant? Like,
yeah, maybe not the whole time, because I think by the end, if you try to stretch this out until the very end to like his literal last match, no matter what you do on his last match, people are going to cheer him because it's his last match.
It's crazy.
So you can give people a little bit of this, maybe until SummerSlam, maybe until a little after SummerSlam, give them that taste of what they clamored for forever. And then you can kick it back to, right off into the sunset. And everybody's going to be so kind of grateful for the career that they're gonna get along. They're gonna go along with it.
Yeah, and thank you guys so much in the chats putting stuff on. We will get to you guys too, but we're just kind of keeping the flow going. But keep those comments coming. Thank you. I was on TikTok, and there's a video of this girl watching the wrestling interview with, I guess, her boyfriend and their brother, or two guys, and they are just like hands on their head, hands on their face. The one guy's on his knees, just like, what is happening? And she just like, can anyone explain why this is a thing and why they care so much? And of course, the comment section did not disappoint. So the first one was, imagine SpongeBob betrays Mr. Krabs and joins Plankton. Because like you're trying to explain in different terms to this girl. Imagine John Wick puts down his own dog. Imagine Batman sides with the Joker. This was wrestling 9/11.
All right.
So stupid. This is the closest thing to wrestling terrorism, as someone said. Imagine Harry Potter hitting the Avocadabra, or whatever the hell it's called, on Voldemort, on Ron, his best friend, and then posing with Voldemort. If Captain America became Captain Russia, it's like if America started siding with Russia. Oh wait, that was a comment. Yeah, that was a comment.
Perfect. Yeah.
Oh man, there's so many funny ones. Like just the people going hard in the paint. Just of like all these crazy like what ifs, like why it was compared like to these things. But Travis Scott, real quick, slaps the dog shit out of Cody.
Yeah,
and fucked his eye up.
Yeah, even The Rock said in the press conference, like, yeah, he went a little too like. And I understand that's what you want to do. Like, you want the non-wrestler to lay it in, because if a non-wrestler tries to do something worked, it usually looks like shit.
Yeah,
but there's a limit.
Does he have a receipt coming?
Probably not.
I think there will be a moment. He has now he has now inserted himself, and he took a legit shot at a world champion. I'm not saying Cody's giving it to him, but there's going to be a moment where he steps in the ring and he has to take a bump, and someone's going to give him one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm thinking like Cody knows enough about how to play the game that it's like, okay, this guy's a major mainstream star, and if I just knock him, break his jaw, then there's gonna be problems.
Yeah, like the Speed Kid when he got in the Rumble. Boy, that is a win-win for professional wrestling, because if they go out and crush this kid, you just protected the business. You know what I mean? Like,
it would have to be somebody on like an equal footing in the mainstream. So if there's a situation where The Rock goes to hit Cody and Cody ducks and Travis Scott catches it, and The Rock's the guy that does it, who's gonna bitch about The Rock?
Travis Scott. I will, my 2025, my prediction is Travis Scott is gonna get fucked up in professional wrestling.
It could very well happen. Yeah,
it's coming. It's coming. It's not if, it's when. But overall, man, Chamber,
excellent show,
fucking amazing, so excellent good. Show. Monday Night Raw the next day. I'm gonna be honest. I thought the show was good. I didn't hate it, but there's only really one thing to really cover and talk about is they changed the
to Mexico with the mask and
the mask guy, whoever that was, right? But they changed the Women's World Championship on Monday Night Raw.
I think they're still trying to set this expectation that anything can happen on Raw. You have to tune into Netflix every week. You can't just assume, oh, Rhea's going to win. And the one thing they haven't done is that big surprise. They haven't done a match where it's like, oh, there's no way that person's winning, and then they do. And obviously this means, for the
longest time, this is why I enjoyed watching AEW. This is what AEW did for us. We would have main title matches that things would happen on on shows on AEW, and people would take clean losses, and people took losses and wins, and like it was like, this is fun. And WWE was too safe. And like I said, they have thrown that rule book out the window.
Yeah, the only negative, I think, if it does wind up being a three-way with Rhea, Bianca, and Io, which it seems kind of fairly likely it will be, I think that does kind of dilute the match a little bit. No offense to Io, but it's two giant stars, and not that Io's not very, very good, and a champion in her own right, was the semi-main event of night 2 of WrestleMania last year.
Yeah,
but it does feel like it dilutes the Rhea Bianca thing unless we get like a Jade gets involved somehow. There's still time to see how this is going to shake out. You can't kind of not, same thing with the Sami Zayn thing. We can't knock it until you see the full picture, and we still have 6 weeks to go.
What is Rhea up to when it comes to world championships?
I have no idea.
If you win the NXT World Championship, is that considered a world champion?
To who? Like, it depends.
No, I'm just saying, like Ric Flair has 16 world championships, right?
Well, I mean, not really, but that's what they say. He has like more like closer to 22 or 23.
Yeah. Because I actually looked up Alexa Bliss, and I thought she was higher. I'm curious. I'm curious what Ripley's at.
I have really stopped paying attention to that type of thing. It's something I used to follow religiously when I was a kid, but now it's like, they change the title too often. It doesn't matter anymore.
So she's a 2-time women's champion, but she's also was the NXT champion, and she's also was the UK champion. And they were technically the world champions. So does that put her at 4? I don't know. I don't think
anybody's counting NXT UK. I don't think anybody's counting that.
Well, she's the only one who could say that she's held all of them at this point in time.
Well, yeah, unless they re-sign Tony Storm or decide to push Alba Fire.
Yeah,
they were the only, I think they were. I know. I think Miko Satomura might have had that title too. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe they're trying to flip flop around Rhea a little bit to try to bump up her numbers. Who knows? Because maybe they want her and Charlotte at some point in time to be closer in that race. I don't know. But yeah, interesting to see Rhea lose. I'm interested to see how that plays out. I don't want to get too much into Mania because we have a lot of weeks to talk and do podcasts. So I'm not shooting our shot completely here. But let's get into a little bit of independence wise. Just plug some shows this Saturday. PPW paying dues.
Next Saturday,
the 15th, paying dues. Live Pro Wrestling in Slatington, Pennsylvania. Doors at 8, bell time, 7. Doors open at 8, bell time at 7. 6.
Yeah.
It's a 6.
Yeah, doors at 6. Yeah.
It looked like an 8 from.
So and as always at 5:15, I will be joined by EJ and Johnny St. Clair and Travis Norbert for Spark. It's something that's pretty unique, I think. We have a live interactive with the live crowd pre-show outside of in the Slatington Expo Center, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, that was the other big thing on Raw was the Rollins Punk angle, brawling all over the place. Punk delivering a very Punk promo in the best way possible.
Does that turn into a triple threat? Because Roman doesn't have a match.
Yeah, that's going to clearly be a triple threat.
Yeah, interesting. But
in fact, that's probably how that ends. Roman comes in and just lays them both out or something.
Yeah. And then some matches announced via Facebook. I pulled these up. BP Big Dan Champion will be taking on JS Hawthorne with Precious. That's gonna be a fun one. Then we have Zoe Cannon versus Danny Moe.
Okay. I gotta stop this one because we haven't made this official, but I'll let everybody know the secret. Unfortunately, Zoe Cannon unable to make it due to personal commitment, so it's gonna be Danny Moe versus TBD.
Okay, opponent to be determined. Then we have Sugar Dan with Travis Norbert taking on Jeremy Marbury with Benny the Basketball and
Jermaine Marbury. And
I say
Jeremy.
Jermaine, yeah. And
And
Benny the basketball
the
and Travis Norbert are finally face to face ringside.
the manager of the year, Benny the basketball.
Sorry, manager of
And
the year.
most hated personality of the year, Travis Norbert.
And they're gonna meet these two titans colliding on the outside of the ring while this amazing matchup between two amazing talent is gonna happen in the ring as well. I don't know what people are gonna expect to watch. I don't know if they're watching the inside, the outside. It's gonna be
you're gonna have to
cross-eye yourself that match. Yeah. And then we do have some announcements.
Sugar Dan put together one hell of a no limits title run right now.
Oh, the kid's a gem. Speaking of gems, she'll be showing up. Look at those nails. Is she wrestling those things?
I don't know. We'll have to find out.
I'm super excited to find out. I've never seen her wrestle, but I like that black and gold gear. That is the podcast colors. And then obviously Danny Moe returns back to PPW after a while. So excited to see Danny. And that's pretty much PPW this week. And then the weekend after, High Tension Wrestling is going to be doing a wrestling match inside of a rave, inside of a BDSM clinic or something like that. It's a little bit of everything happening here. And we're going to have Riley Crow taking on Mother Endless. That's going to be Saturday, March 22nd, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. You see that correct. It is an all-night event of a all-night rave with professional wrestling and BDSM. It's going to be fucking... I'm on commentary, BP, on a BDSM rave wrestling show. I'm gonna be living my life.
that's gonna be something.
Yeah, I'm stoked. It's gonna be stoked. Shay McCoy will take on Katrina Creed, coming all the way down from Canada. And then we have one of the most exciting tag team matchups coming up: Kingsglaive versus Big and Brave, where we have Matt Mikowski and Handsome Max Zero taking on the returning Big Calix, coming back to High Tension after quite some time, and Billy Avery. And then our main event for the current reigning defending High Tension Wrestling champion Philly Mike Swanson will be taking on Cocaine. Cocaine will be there.
Wild.
We'll be Airbnb-ing it up all weekend in Philly, so we'll be there. Also, for this thing on Sunday, March 23rd, Wrestle Cup 3 takes place at the Old Pine Community Center. Ryan Mooney will take on Weber Hatfield. Kurt Robinson will take on Christian Robinson in the Battle of the Robinsons. We talked about this match on the recent podcast. Shay Morgan, dual citizenship, Irish American now, taking on Katrina Creed in a non-tournament match. Then we have Caitlin Marie taking on Shay McCoy. Then we have Braden Toon versus Diego Hill. We have a scramble match: Andy Brown versus BK Westbrook versus Bojack versus Delkin Grant versus KTB. Declan Grant versus KTB versus Leo Sparrow. And then our World Championship Cheeseburger will be taking on Matt Mikowski for the Labor of Love Citywide Championship match. And boy, that's going to be a fun weekend in Philly.
That's a cool building. I watched a few shows in that building about, no joke, it's got to be 24 years ago now.
They're not nails?
They're not. They're like fingerless. They're like gloveless fingers. They're like finger attachments.
Their fingernails.
Yeah, if you look, they go over. If you look, they go over the entire fingertip.
Oh, that's it. I hope she wrestles it. That'd be dope. Probably not. That's probably against the rules. So BP, last week we did a little bit of a draft. I don't know. We won't just do draft this time. Let's just kind of kick around. So people are saying now, is this heel turn? And if you guys having a chat, please put them in as well. People are saying that this is Hogan level turn. This is Hogan NWO turn. We're giving away one right then and there of all-time favorite, because people are putting this John Cena on a level of Hulk Hogan now, and people are like, well, I don't think so. And here's where I will say we haven't seen it play out yet, right? I love Kevin Nash, I love Scott Hall, but two of them together is probably still not one Rock or one John Cena. And John Cena and the Rock, or probably a Hulk Hogan, if not better. So I think when it comes to star power, Rock and Cena together is pretty much a pretty big deal.
It is. No, it definitely is. I'm going to be a little bit of a devil's advocate here. But no, it's the obvious correlation. It's the obvious comparison. It's the obvious parallel. And your feelings on which one you think is more impactful, and which one you think is a bigger deal, is probably very, very contingent on how old you are.
Yes.
If you don't understand why this is that level to a big section of the audience, your back hurts. So you're old. And I'm saying that as an old guy. So there is an entire generation of people. Like John Cena won his first world title 20 years ago. If you were how old I was at WrestleMania 5 when the Mega Powers exploded, the night John Cena beat JBL for that world title,
You've only ever seen babyface John Cena.
You are now 26 years old. And you have, if you've been sticking with wrestling that long, this is a huge deal to you. I think there are some reasons why this one isn't quite as impactful for me, and it has less to do with the star power involved. First of all, the NWO was white hot. Like, yes, The Rock is the biggest celebrity in the world, and Kevin Nash and Scott Hall were never the biggest celebrities in the world, but they were they were the thing that everybody that was following wrestling in 1996 was talking about.
So here's where I will agree with you so far. So the only way I would think it, just by your logic, and I'm not, you're swaying me, I'm going to be honest, is if John Cena went to AEW and did what Okada did.
Not even that. I think the thing that really kind of makes this one a little less for me is this is John Cena's farewell tour. This is John Cena at the, unless that's a lie, and he's like, I'm staying. Like, you're down to have to deal with me. He's a heel now. He can do whatever he wants. Yeah. I lied. But that's probably not the case. John Cena is at a stage of his career where it's, he's winding it down. And I think that's probably still legit. I mean, has anybody ever lied about a wrestling retirement? No. They're always exactly what people say they are. No one's ever lied about a wrestling retirement in the history of wrestling. But the thing with this is, I think it's where it came in his career. If it would have been something where he would have done it 10 years ago to Roman Reigns, if he would have done it 11 years ago to Daniel Bryan, if he would have done it to somebody else at a different point in time, if he would have legitimately joined the Nexus instead of it being like, I'm forced to join and then I'm going to come back as a babyface, if he would have done what they thought they were going to do and they got cold feet at the last minute and turned heel on The Rock after he lost to him at WrestleMania 28, if they would have done it 12 years ago, 13 years ago, now it's neck and neck with Hogan. Not saying Hogan was as big as he ever was when he turned heel, because he was kind of getting stale. And that 2008, 2009, or not 2008, that 2011, 2012 kind of zone for that would have been the same kind of thing. Like, yep, Cena's still a big star. People are still paying to see him, but people are kind of getting sick of the same old act.
Yeah.
Where now, like, John, it's funny that this happens, and people argue that this makes it better. This is finally happening at a point where everybody has accepted John Cena, and even the people that booed him, when he was in his prime, were like, you know what, it's John Cena. I respect him now. But that's when they say you should turn somebody heel, is when people aren't ready for it, and people were ready for it then, and now they're not. But it's also a different world than it was in 1996. And, kayfabe is fully 6 feet in the ground now. So people don't really feel like, not that it wasn't in 1996, but people are just kind of more like, oh, they got me, more than I don't think anybody is legitimately angry at John Cena because they know it's a show.
Yeah.
Nobody's really mad at the guy, except, I take that back. Kids, but
kids are, imagine being one of those Make-A-Wish kids.
Well, they're like, he's still a good guy. They did that whole thing.
Yeah. So let's run down. Do you have a list? I have some in my brain.
I have two lists. Okay. I have a historical list, which is like older stuff that I didn't really see firsthand. And then I have the stuff I saw firsthand, which is still old, because again, I'm old. But I have the stuff that's a little before my time.
Well, kick us off with your first one on your list.
I'm going to go with the historical list first. And this is just slightly before my time. I probably did see it, but I was like maybe 3, and I don't really remember it. And it was the Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff turn on Hulk Hogan right after, between WrestleMania 2 and WrestleMania 3 in 1986, where It starts with Adrian Adonis calling Orndorff Hulk Jr. and Orndorff kind of resenting being in Hulk's shadow. And then eventually there's a tag match and he just turns on Hogan and just pile drives him and just lays him out, because I think it was a very justified heel turn. It was a great piece of business. It made sense. And yeah, that's going to be my number 5 for historical. Personally, and this one's a little outside the box, and it wasn't an official heel turn. They kind of turned into it a little bit later. Vince McMahon turning heel at the 1997 Survivor Series in the Montreal Screwjob, because that launches the character that turns the wrestling war around, and is the perfect foil for Steve Austin. They didn't make him a heel until later. In fact, they tried to make him sympathetic. Like when they did the whole Brett screwed Brett thing, they were not trying to make Vince out to be the bad guy. That's what they really believed. Yeah. And people were like, no, fuck you. Screw Brett, you
you're a dick. Well, since you left it on the table for me, I'm going to take my all-time favorite. Best heel turn in professional wrestling happens in a barber shop.
These are my number 5s. I'm sorry. Those are my number 5s. I have top 5 lists here.
All right. Well, I'm going to go. I'm going my favorite and then backwards.
All right.
I'm going Sean Giannetti in the barbershop. That's
two things. Number 1, there wasn't a heel turn. Giannetti just got scared and jumped through a window. That's not a heel turn.
He was trying to run away.
And then also that's my number 2. That is number 2 on my list.
Okay.
Of ones I saw personally.
Yeah. That one fucked me up. Oh, not fucked me up. I was happy. That was actually one I was cheering for, but that's super high on my list. Yeah.
Yeah, it's number 2 for me. It's a great one.
I'll do another one because you gave 2.
Yeah, go for
it. I'll do another one here. Another one that stands out to me, and actually me and Gary were talking about it in the Discord. Steven just jumped right on it. Owen turning on Brett, leaning into WrestleMania 10. Great heel turn. When
he kicked his leg right out from under his leg.
Here's the thing that we were talking about in the thing in the Discord, and Gary was kind of putting more things in perspective. It's like the singlets, when they all agreed to wear the same singlet, and then Brett came out with a different one. And
pink, the all pink.
What are you trying to be different than? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. By the way, Bret Hart in shorty short singlet, crazy. I forgot he wore those.
Yeah. Also, anytime Bret did the all pink, I was always a big fan of the all pink look for Bret.
Yeah. All pink was cool. But yeah, on my Owen on Brett is going to be my number 2.
So I have, again, historical and then personal. So I'm still going to go backward to my number 4. My number 4 historically, again, a little before my time. I was like a baby when this happened. I think it was like under a year old. And a lot of people would probably have this as number 1. And I don't have it as number 1 because it was kind of derivative. It was a little bit of a cover. And it's a very famous one. It was actually in 1985 when it is Dusty Rhodes, or no, Ric Flair is facing off against Nikita Koloff in the cage in the Omni. I think it was the Omni, maybe it wasn't. And after the match, Ivan and Nikita are beating down Ric Flair, and here comes Dusty Rhodes to help Ric Flair. And they're like, Ric Flair's kind of a tweener at this point. He's been, they had the match at Starrcade 84. He's pretty much a baby face in Mid-Atlantic territory, and other places is kind of heelish as the NWA champion. And so Dusty comes in and clears the cage out of those Russians, because this was the 80s and we didn't like Russians in America in the 80s, unlike now. So Dusty and Flair cleared the ring of those mean old Russians. And then Dusty is just playing to the crowd, and Flair is laying down. He's still kind of licking his wounds, and he starts pointing at Dusty, and everybody's like, well, why is he pointing at him? And then the Andersons come in. Then Ole Anderson and Arn Anderson come in. They lock that cage, and all four of them just beat down on Dusty and prevent everybody from getting in the cage, and they break Dusty's ankle. And it's the genesis, and it takes a little bit of time to get there, but it's the beginning of the genesis of the Four Horsemen. Yeah. And a lot of people are going to have that higher than 4, but again, maybe we stick around a little bit, and there's a reason I have it so low.
Yeah. You want to go back to back?
Yeah. So my number 4, and it's one of those funny heel. I was of two minds here, and I like this one more because it's a heel turn when the guy was already a heel, and I love that. It's like, you were already a heel, but now you're even more of a heel. You're extra heel. You're double extra heel. and it was the Festival of Friendship.
Oh, you
When
son of a bitch.
a list of KO, and why am I on this list? And such a great, already a heel, but now it's not even a heel turn, it's a Jericho babyface turn, which maybe make it a little lower.
Yeah.
But it was so well executed, and people
Kevin's one of those guys. It's not if,
Yeah.
it's when. Like, it's one of those
Oh,
heels like, it's coming.
he's that Lex Luger. Yeah. Oh, he's going to turn on you. You know, he's going to turn on you. It's
Yep.
just, why are you even trusting him, you dummy?
Yeah. Well, since you took my one on the list, with Kevin and Jericho, which, oh my god, and then it led to like the finger on the rope, and then they did a whole match where he was trying to destroy his finger. So stupid. I love it. But
it should have been for Kevin Owens' Universal title if it wasn't for that stinking hyena Bill Goldberg.
Yeah, that stinking hyena. So I'll change it here. I'll go back to back, and they're two modern ones, and I'm gonna say, end of NXT pay-per-view. Two guys are walking out arm in arm, and then that bottom corner hits. End of the show.
Well, which one are we talking about? Because this happened more than once.
I'm gonna say the first time, because another one that happens quite often. But it was the first time they really got people with the bottom corner.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And everyone's like, show's over. And then all of a sudden, Tommaso Ciampa grabs Gargano by the back of his neck.
That's not the first time.
Oh, it's not?
No. Okay.
Tommaso Ciampa grabs Johnny Gargano by the back of his neck and throws him into the light screen and beats the crap out of Johnny Gargano, which is the first turn for those. That's my one on the list.
Again,
and number two.
That's a cover. So that's why it would be a little farther down for me. Go ahead.
Yeah. The next one's going to be, huge baby face. But in 2019, she attacks Becky Lynch with a chair. And then the following night, her inflatable arm goes up and she axes them all down when Bayley turns heel is my next one.
Yeah, that was like the female equivalent of the John Cena, the Hulk Hogan perennial babyface heel turn. Yeah, so that was when Cody Rhodes lost the tag titles to himself because he was the mystery partner on the other team. So, and that's the other thing that I disliked about. Hold on on that one. That was the other thing. Like, so the Rock's plan was John Cena. That was his backup plan if Cody didn't join him. But what if Cena didn't win? What if Drew won? Did he have deals with all six guys? Did he have a deal with Punk? Did he have a deal with Logan Paul? Like, if
backstage, like, wait, so are we off? Are we done?
Looks like I thought I was turning heel. What the hell? So I have two here. I have my historical and my personal. But what I thought you were gonna say is that's not the first time they did that thing with the stinger at the bottom of the screen.
Okay.
At NXT Takeover Arrival, it was the first year they had the WWE Network, so it was like 2014, I believe. And you had the main event of that, Adrian Neville, now Pac, was your NXT champion, and Sami Zayn had been chasing that title for a long time. And he said, if I can't, well, I thought you said this was well before the DIY one. So
I know, but I skipped this one because I was gonna go with Jericho, and this was still on my list, and I was gonna I'll get it later.
Then I'll save it for you. Go for it.
No, you got to finish it. You're doing beautiful.
So Sammy beats Neville, and there's a big celebration, and his buddy Kevin Owens had debuted and beat CJ Parker, now Juice Robinson, in the opener of that match, or the opener of that show. And Pat Patterson's out there. It's a huge celebration. The end of the show graphic comes up in the bottom left, and then Kevin Owens just beats the hell out of Sami Zayn. And that was literally the first time that little graphic on the bottom of the screen did not mean the end of the show. That's the first time they ever did it.
So good. Kevin's so good at heel turns.
It's so like your top 5 Kevin Owens turns.
Yeah.
I mean, if you throw in Kevin Steen, you could probably get a good 5 out of it.
Yeah.
So no, my historical one here is one we talked about a few episodes ago. If you want to go back to like January, and we talked about the Freebirds. It is the Freebirds turning on the Von Erichs Christmas night 1982, Michael PSAs and Terry Gordy slam it. They try to cheat to help Kerry Von Erich win that title from Ric Flair, but he doesn't want their help, so they slam the door on his head.
Yeah.
And they leave him for dead, and it starts off the feud that's the hottest thing in the history of Texas. And on the other side, I'm going to go with WrestleMania 13 because it's the best double turn ever. And it's Bret Hart going heel and Steve Austin going babyface by Bret Hart just cinching up on that sharpshooter and not letting go even after Ken Shamrock waved it off. And you didn't have to do anything. It was just the crowd turned them for them. I don't like Bret, I like Austin. It was a real sea change in wrestling, and it was the real kind of, they'll say that like the official beginning of the Attitude Era was a little bit later. Like I think WWE recognizes it as Undertaker and Bret at SummerSlam with Michaels as the referee. But it's the seeds are planted here when Austin becomes the big baby face and Bret becomes the big heel.
Yeah. I don't know if this is technically a heel turn because it comes from a bunch of heels.
Well, it's like Kevin Owens thing. It's the heels turning more heel.
Yeah, it's memorable for me. It's one of my favorite things in professional wrestling at one point in time, where it almost got me back in at a time when I wasn't watching it. But it was Evolution was a team, and Randy's up on the shoulders of Batista, and Triple H is like, "Hey, bud."
Yeah, it's much like the Festival of Friendship, where it's just they're actually turning a guy babyface by turning the heels more heel.
Yeah, such a good moment. That's going to be the one I'll pick there. Actually, just as I was saying it, Steven Chambers popped it in, so we're on the same page there. And then another one that kind of involves two guys again, where Triple H and Randy Orton are out there, and they're about to look like they're going to fight the Shield, and they said, 2 of you, 3 of us, and then that chair comes to the back of Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins leaves and dismantles the Shield.
And something that Roman still hasn't gotten over, because he had the choice at WrestleMania 40. Do I finish Cody? Do I finish Seth? And he wanted to finish Seth, and it cost him his title. And that's some great long-term storytelling there.
I got 2 more that I'm done.
Yeah, I have a few more. Well, I have 4, but 2 of them we talked about. I'm going to close out my personal list because we talked about them both. Number 2 for me was Michael's barbershop window. And for me, like the greatest heel turn I've seen in my time as a wrestling fan is the Hulk Hogan joining the NWO, just because I'm in that age group where Hulk Hogan has been Superman. Which Undertaker heel turn?
Yeah.
Has been Superman the entire time, and Batman drops the leg on Robin.
Yeah,
Batman drops the leg on Robin. It's because it was something you really felt like you would never see. You would never see, because it's the same thing where people talk about now, like, oh, I remember Hulk Hogan when he wrestled Andre the Giant in 1979. That's like us saying, well, back in my day, John Cena was a rapper and he was a bad guy. and Brock Lesnar did the F5, so he did the FU, and you get off my lawn. And that's how we sound now. And that's how, but when Hulk Hogan turned, I was 13 years old, and it was like, oh, okay. I mean, I knew what was going on with wrestling at this point, but it's like, oh, Hogan's a bad guy now. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. All right, so my last 2, and there's so many more. There's so many.
I have 2 historic ones left to go. So after you're done your 2, I'll do those.
I'm gonna say, before we knew him as the final boss, he was Rocky Maivia. Nobody liked him, so he joined a team called the Nation of Domination,
which he hated. By the way, he did not want to do with that the whole racial thing. In fact, he got the Nation away from that.
Yeah. And he leaves the Nation of Domination, which was a cool moment where he kind of really becomes The Rock. But when The Rock joined the corporation was a really cool one for me. I really like that. And more current day, when Roman shows up with brand new teeth and a t-shirt that says "Wreck everyone and leave," and he becomes what we now know as the Roman Reigns we all love and adore and cherish, when he come in and just beat down the Fiend. And I think Braun Strowman just fucked everybody up. Just came in and fucked everybody up, and it was just like, what is this? Just Roman's heel turn.
I think those 2 are good turns for what became of them, like The Rock and the tribal chief. But the turns themselves were nothing special. Like, literally, The Rock's turn happened in the middle of a Raw.
Mm-hmm.
And Roman's like, yeah, it became something big. It's like, oh, Roman's a heel now. But we didn't even realize he was a heel until Paul Heyman shows up because he beat up Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt was a heel.
Yeah.
Braun was a
I mean,
babyface, but
we didn't even talk about like the mega powers really. Like that.
yeah,
I mean, we did a whole episode on it.
the Savage turn was good.
Yeah. When Cactus turns on the ECW fans.
Yeah, again, the turn itself was fine. Like he turned on Tommy Dreamer in the middle of a match, but it was what came from it that was so cool.
Well, before I say some honorable mentions, I'll let you finish your two.
So my two, and these are both historical. They're a little before my time. You can bring up that thing Steven said again, because my number two is, and it I believe happened at the Hamburg Fieldhouse. At least that's what Larry Zbyszko told me. I always thought it was Allentown, but Larry's like, no, it was Hamburg. When we met him in 2021. It is Larry Zbyszko. And you look back, those chairs look like the Hamburg Fieldhouse chairs. It was Larry Zbyszko and he's the protege of Bruno Sammartino. Bruno brought him in. He's Bruno's Bruno's had him under his wing this whole time. Bruno is Yoda and Larry is Luke Skywalker. And Larry's like, Bruno, I want to have a match with you. I want to see if I can hang with you. And Bruno's like, okay, you have a match with me. And they have their match, and it's a very competitive match, if I recall correctly, because I have seen this like on the tape and everything. Bruno wins, and then Larry just snaps after the match and waffles Bruno with a chair. Blade job, one of the best blade jobs ever, just beating the hell out of Bruno. Bruno blades, and then he tries to lift his head up, and the blood is just spilling out of his forehead into a pool under him. And he can't get up, and he just falls face down into his own blood. And he comes up with a crimson mask, and it's everything you want pro wrestling to be. And that leads to the showdown at Shea, where they pack Shea Stadium, 50,000 people. And Bruno gets his revenge on Larry Zbyszko and kicks him out of there. And it's a great piece of business. But my number one, and when I say the Horseman, the Flair and Dusty one is a little derivative. It's a cover, and it's a cover of this. It's a cover of I believe also in the Omni back in, I believe, 1980. And one of the big rivalries in the 70s in Georgia was Ole Anderson and Dusty Rhodes. And Dusty Rhodes is this famous promo. Ole Anderson, it'll never be over. It'll never be over, baby. Not until one of us has a broken back and in a wheelchair. It'll never be over. But then Ole Anderson, it doesn't end, but it kind of goes away, because in 1979, Ole Anderson turns babyface. And like Dusty's like, no, it's Ole. I told him this is never going to be over. So no, Ole, I'm not. They might be cool with you, but I'm not cool with you. And Ole is just teaming with everybody else, all the other baby faces, just sticking up for everybody, doing what's right, just doing everything he can to be a model citizen and to do things the right way. And he wins everybody over. But Dusty's like, no, I don't trust him. No, like I'm trying to think of like no, he's Ole Anderson. No.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, after a year, Dusty has this blood feud going with the Assassins, who are like this big heel tag team. And there's a match, and it's Dusty needs a partner against the Assassins in a cage, and that dirty Russian, because it's the 80s and we didn't like Russians like we do now. It's a common theme. Ivan Koloff's going to be the special guest referee. So Dusty needs somebody. He needs some firepower here. He needs somebody that is going to really make sure that we can I can handle this. I can't go into the cage against the Assassins with just anybody. Ole Anderson, fine. Will you be my partner? And Ole agrees. Like, finally, I get a chance to really show you I've turned over this new leaf. And they just beat the shit out of Dusty. All five of them. They all beat the shit out of Dusty. As soon as the bell rings, it's not even a match. They ding, ding, ding. And the referee, the Assassins, and Ole just all kill Dusty Rhodes. And Gene Anderson, Ole's brother, who's a bad guy, who's been feuding with. He's been fighting his own brother. For a year. And now it was all part of the plan. And it's 5-on-1, and Dusty's getting wrecked. Dusty's busted up. His face is a mess. And Ole just goes through this promo. It's almost 10 minutes long on Georgia Championship Wrestling of I made myself sick. He's standing next to Gordon Solie. He's like, I had to pretend to like you, Gordon Solie. I'll never like you. And it's the best justifying a babyface turn, because it was all a ruse. It was a year-long plan to have Dusty Rhodes He's like, and I didn't even have to come to you, Dusty Rhodes. You came to me.
Yeah.
It is such a, and it's if you ever want to see how good, and I know people didn't like him because he was kind of a curmudgeon, but if you ever wanted to see how good of a wrestler, a character, and a creative mind, because he booked this whole thing, Ole Anderson was. It's easy to find. Just look up the Ole Anderson promo in 1980 after he turned on Dusty Rhodes, and everybody's part makes sense. And even Ivan Koloff is like, oh, I thought I lost my. You almost sympathize with the bad guys. Who's like, oh, I thought I lost my friend, but he was just trying to beat up Dusty Rhodes, and so we're good again. We're cool again. and everybody's weighing in on it. Like even Kevin Sullivan, who's a babyface at this point, is like, you're gonna get what's coming to you, Ole Anderson, and it's the most perfectly executed heel turn ever.
Yeah.
And it was the playbook that they used to turn Flair, and it's so good.
So we got some honorable mentions I have from a website here. So we have Christian Cage turns on Sting in TNA. Everyone that's pretty high up there. When Naito created Los Ingobernables de Japón. Thank you. That's on the list there. Mega Powers Explode. We kind of touched on that one. Kenny Omega joins the Bullet Club is on the list. The transformation of Chris Jericho when he smashes over Shawn Michaels. The formation of the Bullet Club when Prince Devitt turns.
Yeah.
Beer Money and Ink Dissolve on the list here. If Jim Duggan turned Canadian, but that's not even a heel turn in today's time. That's just normal.
Yeah. Well,
we all just hacksaw Jim Duggan over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Honestly,
yeah.
We should buy these shirts, BP. We need, this is the new hot t-shirt. I might just steal it and put it on my website and make a couple bucks. This might be the new shirt.
Yeah. There you go. and that one was horrible, by the way. That was a Vince Russo thing. That was just I'm gonna have Hacksaw Jim Duggan be anti-American because it's the last thing people would expect. And then he shaved too. He shaved and cut his hair.
Yeah. Stone Cold joins Vince McMahon.
That one sucked. Get out of here. That's what killed the Attitude Era. That one sucked.
Yeah. It's on the list. Andre aligns himself with Bobby Heenan.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
What else we got here? What are we missing? We have Jericho. Kevin Steen betrays El Generico. Austin Idol betrays Jerry Lawler.
How many times has Kevin Steen turned on him? How many times has that happened now? At some point, it's Sammy's fault. I'm going to just say that. At some point, it's Sammy's fault.
Yes, it's Sammy's fault at this point. But that's pretty much all I got. BP, anything in closing?
Because we didn't really do any of them in the women's division, and I think one of my favorites is from WrestleMania 20, and it's I think we brought this up. Maybe it was here last week, but it was when they did this angle, and it's an angle that hasn't aged well. But it was when Chris Jericho and Christian were a heel tag team, and they kind of do this thing where they're going to have a bet where Chris Jericho is going to put the moves on Trish Stratus, and Christian's going to put the moves on Lita, and we're going to see who can, it's almost like a She's All That. We're going to see who, or like American Pie. We're going to see who can sleep with the other one first, and they have a bet between the two of them. And it's a long-term thing, and the Lita Christian thing kind of fizzles out. But you can tell that, Jericho is starting to develop genuine feelings for Trish Stratus. And it's like, it's not about the silly bet anymore. It's not like it's She's All That. It's My Fair Lady. It's, oh, well, yeah, it started because I thought, of the stupid bet, but now I really care about you.
And 10 Things I Hate About You. That was a trope in that one too.
Well, also, that. So here's the thing about that and She's All That. They're based off old things. 10 Things I Hate About You is based off of a Shakespeare play.
It's a Shakespeare movie, yeah.
Yeah, it's The Taming of the Shrew.
Yeah.
So the big thing here is they had it, and Christian's like, well, dude, you're going soft on me here. What's wrong with you? Christian's like the heel here. So they do Christian and Jericho at WrestleMania. And Trish turns on Jericho. Like, she's known about it and she's angry about it. And so she winds up with Christian for a while.
Yeah.
And that was
Mariah May heel turn recently was pretty good.
That was very fun. Yeah. That was a very fun one.
I'm trying to think about it. Any?
Sergeant
I
Slaughter.
don't remember. I don't remember her turning heel, but her just becoming one. Athena. I don't remember the heel turn
Yeah,
itself. But her
yeah.
just being a heel has been really good. But just the last two things that I want to put before we go over here. I know there's some shows coming up. We do have Super Suplex Slamboree, April 12th, Saturday. In South Street, Philadelphia. That'll be a free show for everybody. And no details yet, I don't think, on this date. Maybe BP can help me out. But we have the graphic.
It's actually the same day. It's
there you
April
go.
12th at the Slatington Expo Center.
There you go. Both days, Super Show and Suplex Slamboree, both coming up. Go support independent wrestling. Thank you guys so much. What did you think? Oh, Adam Cole and the Devil. It could have been better, but
we didn't say the worst heel turns of all time.
Yeah, it could have been better, but it was not.
You mean a heel turn that made the heel and the baby face less over? Okay.
Yeah, it was rough. In theory, it should have been good, but it just didn't pan out. But I hope you guys like the new format where we're going to cover more of modern day wrestling. If you have any feedback, questions, comments, anything, let us know. Come join us in the Cult of ABJ Facebook or the Cult of ABJ Discord, and we'll probably be hanging out there a little bit after this show. The Discord's more if you like voice chatting and you want to turn your camera on and you want to voice chat with people. And if you're just more of a group chat texter, Facebook is probably your bet there. So make sure you go check those out. Grab some merchandise if you can. Help us out more than you know. Maybe we'll come up with some cool limited run Tornado Tag t-shirts. Maybe down the line coming up soon. But that's pretty much all we got. Thank you so much once again for coming back to us at Tornado Tag. Next week, we'll probably just cover This Week in Wrestling. I don't know what the topic's going to be yet, but follow us on social media to keep up to date with all of that. And we'll see you all next time. Here's some music by the Converse Kid. If I can find the button, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.